Look at this box art for Super Mario 3D Land. It's perfect, as it's just Mario jumping and the background has no color. Super simple, yet super effective. However, if you turn the box to its side, you'll see that the end label is written in red. Ugh, I don't like this. So today, can we beat Super Mario 3D Land without touching the color red? But just before that, thank you Ridge for sponsoring today's video. So Ridge is a minimalist pocket wallet that's actually super slim, has RFID blocking, and has a lifetime guarantee. My wallet used to be quite bulky, and now everything is actually slim and fits in my front pocket, which is actually amazing. So this month, with every dollar you spend on the website, you'll be entered in this big contest to win a brand new Ford Bronco or $75,000 in cash if you prefer. Click my link in the description down below and let's just jump into it. World 1-1 isn't a really difficult level to start with, but I do have to admit that it does contain a couple of red blocks, which we cannot touch. I also touched the mid-level checkpoint flag and oh no, it turned red! Well, obviously this led me to a reset, but at least now I know that touching the checkpoint flag is not allowed. 1-2 doesn't contain anything red, and 1-3 only features these red piranha plants, but they're quite easy to avoid. 1-4 took place on these green arrow platforms, and to be honest, I barely moved as there was nothing red on my way. 1-Castle is up, and I thought this one was going to be quite difficult, as it's a lava themed level. But nope, the only red thing is the lava. And still, maybe it's more orange-ish than it is red. Oh well. To defeat Bowser, we just have to hit that switch and uh-oh, it's red. Well, it's not the end of the quest though, because only the Bowser outline is red. Everything else is black on the switch, so we can just step on the sides and everything will be good. Let's go! World 2-1 is not difficult, as long as you don't act curious and start pressing blue switches. Because if you do, uh-oh, just avoid those traps and you'll soon reach the flagpole. 2-2 is full of green platforms with faces on them, but these faces are not red. 2-3 starts off by placing you right on a red block. But as you know, in those color challenges, if a cutscene or if the game places me on the color I can't touch, the rule I have to follow is that I have one single move to get out of there. And, well, this is exactly what we'll do here. We'll just jump out of this red block and we'll keep on playing the level. There are multiple red blocks on the way, meaning we'll have to be extra careful, but thankfully, the Tanuki suit and the gliding ability will help out quite a lot. 2-4 was actually quite scary, as it's all about those red and blue platforms that flip sides every time you jump. One side is actually completely illegal to touch, so this will lead to some scary looking jumps. Thankfully, you can always land on the blue platforms and then glide to safety. This will ask you to land on this green block or this brown one, but as soon as you figure out a clear path to get to the other side, this level won't be a problem at all. 2-Airship wasn't on my list of potential difficult levels, but turns out it should have been. You see, you have to jump on flying airships, and one of those looks like this. Is that red? Well, while it may not be super bright red, it's definitely a darker shade of red, meaning we cannot touch it. But how are we expected to get to the other boat then? Well, here's what you have to do. You must jump from this white fence onto these lamps on the front of the ship, and then you jump on the second ship. Whew, that was a precise and scary jump, but alas, I did it. World 3-1 takes place in the desert, and you have to use boxes, cannons, and more to get to the top. But good news, there is no red on the way. 3-2 is taking place underwater, and the only red things on the way are going to be those cheap enemies. So let's just avoid those fishes and we'll be okay. 3-3 contains those donut platforms that prove to be quite annoying in my Bowser's Fury No Red challenge, as they do turn red when you step foot on them. But not in this game, they actually remain orange, so we're good. 3-4 is a snow theme level and doesn't contain red, besides this evil mushroom power-up on the rope, but we can easily avoid it. 3-5 is filled with cookies, and they're not red, but there were those dark pinkish ones that I wasn't too keen with, so I decided to jump on the blocks instead of touching them, you know, just to play it safe. 3-airship contains some red fences on many flying boats, so you'll have to make sure not to lay on them and just jump above and you'll be good. In World 4-1, as you climb up the tree, you'll be faced with red bitty buds and some spiky red flowers. Just avoid those two dangerous things and you'll get to the end. 4-2 is a vertical level where you normally have to hit those red blocks to make blocks appear and then you climb on those. The thing is, we don't actually have to touch those red blocks. We can just use the Tanuki suit to wall jump and glide our way to the top. 4-3 is full of spinning blocks, and there's a couple red ones, but we can always find a way around them with our good old Tanuki suit. 4-4 is a haunted house level that starts you off on top of some red carpet. Obviously, our first move has to be to avoid it, and this is what we'll do. The rest of the level ain't too bad, but it does contain more carpet, so just be on the lookout for that. Sadly, the end of the level is going to be quite the problem. We have to leave the mansion by entering this purple door. And sadly, there is some red carpet on the way, and there's just no way to avoid it. Dang it! Is this the end of the quest? Well, this is the end of this level at least. But we can go back to World 4-2 and use wall jumps to reach the top of this level, and if you go to the right, you will enter a warp zone. Hey, we skipped this entire world. Now that's pretty cool. World 5-1 is actually very easy and doesn't feature anything red on the way. 5-2 has a bunch of spiny enemies on the way, and these guys are red, but I mean, they are also full of spikes, so you wouldn't want to touch them anyways. 5-3 is actually filled with platforms featuring red outlines, meaning this level is actually quite complicated if you lose your Tanuki suit. 5-4 doesn't have any red on the way, and 5-5 is also very simple. Just avoid the beady bud on top of the flagpole and you'll be good. 5-Castle is very similar to the previous castle we visited. The only red is on the Bowser switch near the end, and we already know that we can avoid touching the red part of that switch. World 6-1 is full of red flowers all over the grass, so avoid touching them and you'll be good. 6-2 is brown all over the place, but thankfully not so red. 6-3 is another haunted house full of red carpet, ghosts, and all sorts of dangerous shenanigans. And guess what? The ending of this stage looks like this. Another door on a red carpet? Dang it! And there are no more warp zones to explore in this game. This is bad. This is really bad. But believe it or not, I had another thing I wanted to try before giving up, and this actually involves repeatedly jumping down and losing lives. Because if you lose 10 lives in this game, you get a P-Wing, which is a power-up that brings you to the end of a level. And here is how it works. We actually went outside. We skipped the red carpet part entirely. Is that cheating? Well, I don't think so, but I will have to say that this is a bit cheap. I'm sorry. That's the only way I managed to clear this stage without touching red. 6-4 contains those blocks, and the last one does look a bit red, although it looks purple on the level select screen. Is it red? Is it purple? I don't know, I just made sure not to touch those blocks anyways. 6-5 was pretty easy, and 6-airship wasn't too bad, although it does contain more red outlines on the wooden platforms, so be careful. World 7-1 is super easy, and so is 7-2. The same thing goes with 7-3, which doesn't feature red things. 7-4 is also not gonna be a problem for the quest, as it doesn't feature red. 7-5 contains a bunch of saws and wooden planks, but nothing is actually red. 7-airship contains some red planks on some boats, so we'll have to avoid touching them, but we'll be okay. World 8-1 is a bit annoying, as there's a bunch of red lines on the metallic platforms, forcing you to do some scary jumps, but it is possible. 8-2 was full of pillars, but these things are not red, so we're good. 8-3 is full of yellow and green rotating platforms, but thankfully we don't have to avoid those colors today. 8-4 is a haunted house, so I'm a bit afraid that I know how it might end. This stage starts off with the classic red carpet that we have to jump off of. The level in itself is a bit tricky, and you'll often have to stand on a corner of a platform trying to dodge all of the red carpet up until you reach the very end, and it looks like this. Wait a minute, there's actually a gap close to the door, meaning we don't have to touch the red carpet to enter the door. That was unexpected. I'm pretty happy to confirm that we finally beat a haunted house the proper way. Yay! 8-5 is full of red and blue platforms once again, but this one is a bit trickier. I managed to do some epic gamer jumps on the first few sections to clear the gap in one jump or less. But this final gap is completely insane. I mean, just take a look at how many platforms we're meant to jump on. Obviously, we cannot do that in one jump, and we'll have to touch the red platforms if we go that way. But, as you can see, there's a bunch of banzai bills in the background, and we can actually bounce on those. So here's what I did. I jumped as far as I could on a blue platform, and then I bounced on the banzai bills to then do some epic wall jumps on those two walls, up until I moved on top of the cannon over there. That was pretty scary and nerve-wracking, but once I reached this part, I could just jump and beat the stage. Whew, we did it! 8-Castle is a bit annoying because it starts off with wanting you to push a blue switch, but we know what happens when you push blue switches in this game. They turn red. Thankfully, we can just glide above the lava and skip that part, but later in the level, we'll have to push another one, and we cannot skip it. I had to push it. But wait a minute, wait, can we get a super slow motion look at this? When we push the switch, it kind of fades to yellow or orange before actually turning red, and if we are fast enough, it looks like we can actually jump off the switch before it actually turns red. Oh my gosh, now we are extra lucky! Once this is done, we'll be all good. 8-6 is pretty simple, and as long as you don't fall in the lava, you won't touch anything that is red. Welcome to 8-Bowser, the final stage, and this level doesn't contain that many red stuff besides the Bowser switches, but you know the trick, just barely touch them and you'll push those without touching the color red. And there we go, we did it, we defeated Bowser and saved the world. Yes, it is possible to beat Super Mario 3D Land without touching the color red. There were a few difficult spots, and we actually needed the P-Wing for one stage, which is a bit cringy, but that's okay. And if you want more challenges, well, let me know what game and what color you want me to attempt, and as for me, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!